The night was silent when the villagers gathered near the old stone well. Their faces were hard, their eyes cold. Two guards dragged a young alien woman toward the edge. Her wrists were tied with rough rope, her legs trembling as she stumbled. Forward, she begged them with a weak voice, "Please, don't do this. I didn't do anything wrong," but her words were ignored. Someone spat on the ground. Another shouted, "She brings bad luck. Throw her down." The guards pushed her. She screamed as her body fell into the black mouth of the well. Stones scraped her arms, icy water swallowed her, and darkness closed around her. The sound of the crowd faded above her until only silence remained. The alien woman's name was Leora. She surfaced in the dirty water, coughing and gasping for air. The water tasted of rust and mud. Slimy weeds touched her skin, making her shiver. She tried to swim to the wall, but it was slippery with moss. Her hands slipped again and again, leaving scratches on her fingers. "Help!" Her voice echoed upward, but no one answered. Only the sound of dripping water filled the space. She cried until her throat was raw. Her voice became weaker, but she did not stop calling above. The night sky was a tiny circle of stars. The well was deep, the walls rough and sharp. No rope, no ladder, no friendly hand reached down. Leora pressed her forehead against the stone wall, shaking from cold and fear. She thought of her people, of her family who had abandoned her, and of the cruel lie that had placed her here. Someone had accused her of being cursed, and the villagers believed it. In their eyes, she was a danger. In truth, she was only a frightened woman. Hours passed. The water was freezing, biting her skin. She hugged her knees to her chest, whispering, "I don't want to die here. Please, someone hear me." And then something changed. A faint crunch of footsteps echoed near the well. Leora's heart leaped. She forced herself to call out again, though her voice was hoarse. "Please, somebody help me." The footsteps stopped. For a long moment, she thought it was another villager who would laugh at her misery. But instead, a different sound followed, low, steady breathing. "Who's down there?" a male voice asked. Her eyes widened. The voice was not from her village. It was strange, rough, and carried an accent she had never heard before. "It's me," she croaked, her throat burning. "They threw me here. I can't climb out. Please, help me." The voice hesitated. Then the man spoke again, firmer this time. "Stay calm. Don't waste your strength." A faint light appeared above, as the stranger lit a small torch. His face came into view. It was not like the faces she knew. His skin was pale under the firelight, his eyes sharp, his jaw strong. He was not an alien like her. He was a human. The villagers hated humans. They said humans were violent, greedy, and dangerous. But this man didn't look cruel. He looked alive, full of energy, different from the cold people who had thrown her in. He leaned over the well, his shadow stretching down the walls. "Hold on," he said, his voice steady. "I'll get you out." Leora's lips trembled. She didn't know whether to trust him. Could one human really save her when her own people had wanted her dead? She hugged herself, shivering in the filthy water. But deep inside her chest, a spark of hope flickered for the first time since she had fallen. The sound of rope being untied echoed above. The man grunted as he worked. Then he lowered a strong hand down into the darkness. "Take it," he said firmly. Her body was weak, her hands shaking. She hesitated one last time. Then, with the last of her strength, she reached out. Their fingers touched. For Leora, it felt like touching life itself. And in that single moment, her fate began to change. The human's hand was rough, strong, and warm compared to the freezing water below. Leora's fingers trembled as she clutched it. Her mind screamed with doubt. What if this was another trick? What if he let go halfway? Yet something in his voice made her believe. "Don't let go," he ordered, his tone sharp but not unkind. I won't," she whispered. The rope he had tied around his waist strained as he pulled. Muscles in his arms flexed as he heaved her upward, step by step. Leora's body scraped against the stone wall, tearing her skin, but she did not cry out. She held on with every bit of strength she had left. At last, her head rose above the edge. Cold night air hit her face. The man grabbed her under the arms and dragged her out of the well, laying her gently on the grass. For a moment, she lay still, coughing water from her lungs. Her wet hair clung to her face, her skin pale under the moonlight. The man crouched beside her, torchlight dancing across his sharp features. "You're alive," he muttered, relief softening his voice. She looked up at him, shivering. "Why? Why did you help me?" He raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" "No. One else did," she whispered bitterly. Her own people had thrown her away like garbage, but this stranger human had risked his safety to save her. The man shrugged. "Then they're fools." His words struck her heart like fire. She blinked up at him, uncertain if she should laugh or cry, before she could respond. A noise broke the moment distant shouts carried by the wind. Torches flickered in the distance. The villagers were returning to make sure she was dead. The man's jaw tightened. "We can't stay here. They'll come back." Fear gripped her chest. "They see you with me, they'll kill you too." He gave a dry chuckle. "Let them try." She stared at him. Who was this human, bold enough to challenge her people? He helped her stand. Her legs shook, but his arm around her shoulder held her steady. His presence was strangely comforting, solid, unyielding. They moved quickly through the tall grass, slipping into the forest beyond the village. Darkness swallowed them. The only light, the faint glow of his torch. Behind them, angry voices grew louder, searching as they walked deeper into the woods. Leora dared to ask, "What is your name?" "Daniel," he replied shortly. "Daniel." She repeated it softly, as if tasting the sound. "And yours?" He asked without looking back. "Leora, Leora," he said, her name firm in his mouth. "Good. Then you're not a ghost." She gave him a strange look. "What do you mean?" He stopped and glanced at her. "When I first heard your voice in the well, I thought it was a spirit crying from the dark. But you're real." His gaze softened. "And you're not alone anymore." Her throat tightened. She had been abandoned by her people, thrown away to die. Yet here, in the cold forest, a stranger gave her words she had longed to hear. "You're not alone." They pressed forward until the shouting faded into silence. At last, Daniel stopped in a clearing. A small fire pit lay there, with a few logs stacked nearby. Clearly, this was his camp. He lowered her onto a blanket and began to light a fire. Sparks danced, then flames bloomed, pushing away the cold. The warmth made her body relax, though her heart still raced. She studied him carefully in the firelight. His hands were scarred, his clothes rough and torn. He looked like a soldier. A wanderer, or both. "Why are you here?" she asked softly. Daniel poked the fire with a stick, his eyes shadowed. "Because I don't belong anywhere else." His words echoed in her chest. She understood too well. Both of them were outcasts in their own way. But before the thought could settle, a sharp howl split the night air. Leora froze. Her alien eyes widened in fear. "They've sent the hunters." Daniel stood, his hand already on the strange weapon strapped to his back. "Then let them come." The firelight glowed on his face as shadows of the forest closed around them, and for the first Time since her fall, Leora felt that maybe hope had returned. The forest was alive with whispers. Branches cracked under heavy steps. Faint red lights glowed between the trees' eyes of creatures moving closer. Leora's body tensed. She knew that sound too well. "It's the hunters," she whispered, fear shaking her voice. Daniel crouched beside the fire, his eyes scanning the shadows. "Hunters. They use them to kill runaways," she explained quickly, her hands trembling. "Beasts trained to track and tear apart anyone who escapes. They won't stop until I'm dead." A low growl echoed through the clearing, deep and hungry. The firelight flickered against sharp teeth glinting in the dark. Daniel did not flinch. His hand gripped the weapon on his back, a strange human rifle with scratches carved along its metal. He stood tall, his body relaxed but his eyes sharp. "Stay behind me," he said. His voice was calm, steady, like a rock standing against the storm. Leora's heart pounded. She crouched low behind him, clutching the blanket around her shaking body. The shadows moved closer. The first hunter stepped into the light. It was a massive creature, taller than two men, its body covered in bone-like armor plates. It's glowing. Red eyes locked on Leora, lips curling back to reveal rows of jagged teeth. Drool dripped onto the dirt, sizzling as if poisoned. Leora gasped. "There's more. Always more." As if answering her, two more hunters emerged from the dark, circling the fire like wolves. The clearing grew smaller, their growls echoing in Leora's ears. Daniel didn't move back. He lifted his weapon slowly, the firelight catching the barrel. "Ugly things, aren't they?" he muttered. The largest hunter roared, shaking the ground. Then it charged, the moment stretched into silence. Leora shut her eyes, expecting the beast to crash into them. Instead, bang. The rifle roared like thunder. A flash of fire spat from the barrel. The bullet slammed into the beast's head. Bone cracked, stumbling sideways before collapsing into the dirt. The other two shrieked, their glowing eyes furious. They leaped at once, claws tearing the air. Daniel spun, firing again. The second hunter's chest exploded in a spray of dark blood. It crashed into the fire, sparks flying as its body thrashed and burned. The last hunter was faster. It dodged the bullet and lunged, claws aimed for Daniel's throat. Leora screamed, but Daniel moved like lightning. He dropped the rifle, grabbed a hunting knife from his belt, and rolled under the beast's wing. The blade flashed, slicing deep across its exposed belly. The monster howled, twisting in pain. Daniel rose behind it, his arm locking around its neck. With a fierce pull, the knife cut across its throat. Blood sprayed, dark and steaming. The beast collapsed with a final gurgling growl. Silence fell. Only the fire crackled, the smell of smoke mixing with blood. Leora stared at the bodies, her chest rising and falling fast. You killed them all." Daniel wiped the blade on the grass, calm as if he had done this 100 times before. "They weren't much." Her eyes widened. "Not much. No one survives hunters. They're death itself." He glanced at her. "Not for humans." The words hit her like a thunderbolt. She had heard stories tales of human strength, of their strange will to fight, even when broken. Her people feared them, yet also despised them. But seeing Daniel stand over the corpses of the hunters made her realize those stories were not lies. Daniel picked up his rifle and slung it across his back. "We can't stay. The noise will bring more." He held out his hand to her again. For a moment, she hesitated, staring at the blood still dripping from his fingers. Then she took it, her grip weak but trusting. They moved through the forest, leaving the clearing behind. Each step was heavy with silence. Finally, Leora spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Daniel's gaze stayed forward, his tone steady, because no one else would. And sometimes, that's enough. Her throat tightened. She had been thrown away, cursed, abandoned. Yet this human, a stranger, fought monsters for her. The night wind brushed through the trees. Leora felt fear still clinging to her heart, but also something new, something she had never felt before. Hope, and for the first time, she began to wonder, what else can a human do that others cannot? The night did not rest after the hunters fell. The forest carried new sounds, torches crackling, metal clashing, voices shouting in anger. Leora's body stiffened. She knew those voices. "The villagers?" she whispered. Daniel's jaw tightened as he guided her through the trees. "They're tracking us. They will not stop," Leora said, her voice trembling. "They fear me, but they fear humans more. Now they will want both of us dead." Behind them, the glow of fire spread among the trees like rising stars. Dozens of villagers were moving together, weapons in hand, their chants echoing. "Find the cursed girl. Burn the human with her." Daniel stopped in the shadows, his eyes narrowing. "Clever. They're moving in a circle. They want to trap us." Leora's heart raced. "What do we do?" He crouched, scanning the ground, then motioned toward a ridge. "We climb. High ground gives us a chance." Her legs trembled, still weak from the well, but she followed him. His movements were fast and silent, like someone who had walked through danger many times before. Every step he made seemed planned, avoiding the dry leaves and branches that would snap underfoot at the ridge. Daniel knelt, pulling her down beside him. The two watched as the mob moved closer. Dozens of figures marched with torches, their faces hard with hatred. Leora swallowed hard. "They look at me as if I'm a disease." Daniel's voice was calm, but sharp. "No, they look at you the way cowards look at anything they don't understand." She turned to him, her alien eyes shining in the fire's glow. "How do you speak like that, as if you are not afraid?" A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Fear doesn't go away. You just learn to walk with it." Before Leora could answer, a shout rose below. One of the villagers pointed up at the ridge. "There. The human has her." Torches swung toward them. The mob surged forward like a wave. Daniel stood, rifle in hand. "Stay behind me," he said, the same words he had spoken before the hunters. But this was different. These were not beasts without reason. These were people, her own people, driven by blind rage. The villagers rushed uphill, some with spears, others with axes. Their eyes gleamed with fury, their shouts shaking the night. Bang! The rifle cracked and a torch dropped from one villager's hand. Another man fell to his knees, clutching his arm. The crowd staggered but did not stop. Daniel fired again, forcing them back a step. Smoke curled from the barrel. His stance was solid, unshaken, but Leora saw the truth. The mob was too many. For every villager who fell, 3 more pushed forward. Her chest tightened. "We can't fight them all," she whispered. Daniel's eyes flashed. "Then we outthink them." He grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward a narrow path behind the ridge. The villagers shouted, chasing after them. Torches bouncing like angry stars. The path twisted downward into a ravine, its floor filled with mist. Rocks shifted underfoot, threatening to throw them off balance. Leora stumbled, but Daniel caught her before she fell. His grip was strong, steady, pulling her forward through the darkness. Behind them, voices roared. "Catch them! Don't let the human escape!" At the bottom of the ravine, Daniel stopped suddenly. Leora looked around, confused. The path ended at a sheer wall of stone. Her heart dropped. "We're trapped." Daniel's eyes scanned the rock. Then he smirked. "No, Not yet. He pressed his hand against a crack in the stone. The wall shifted slightly. Hidden vines covered a narrow opening. A cave, Leora gasped. Daniel pushed her inside first, then followed, pulling the vines back over the entrance. Darkness swallowed them. Outside, the mob thundered past, their torches fading as they ran deeper into the ravine, unaware. Silence fell again. Only their breaths filled the cave. Leora leaned against the wall, trembling. You saved me again. But why? Why risk yourself for me? Daniel's face was unreadable in the dark, because someone once left me to die too. And I swore I'd never let it happen to another, no matter what they are. Her throat tightened at his words. She looked at him differently now, not as a stranger, not as a feared human, but as something far more dangerous to her heart. Hope. The cave swallowed them in silence. The air was damp, carrying the smell of earth and stone. Drops of water fell from above, echoing softly. Leora pressed her back against the wall, her breath unsteady. Her heart still raced from the chase, but at least the mob was gone for now. Daniel crouched near the entrance, listening. His rifle rested across his knees. Only after several minutes did he relax slightly. They passed us, he whispered. We're safe, for now. Leora hugged her arms, shivering. The fire's warmth was gone, and the stone floor was cold against her bare feet. She studied him in the dim glow of his torch. His face was sharp, his eyes focused. But there was something else there too, something buried. Finally, she asked the question burning in her chest. You said someone left you to die. What did you mean? For the first time, Daniel's eyes softened. He didn't answer at once. He stared at the torch flame, as if the fire showed him memories. My own people, he said at last. His voice was low, rough. Back on a battlefield. Years ago, we were soldiers. A mission went wrong. My unit ran, left me behind, bleeding in the dirt. They thought I was finished. Leora's breath caught, but you survived. He gave a small, humorless smile. Humans don't die easy. Silence stretched between them. Leora's eyes glistened in the dim light. She whispered, so that's why. But you couldn't leave me. Daniel looked at her now, really looked. No one deserves to be thrown away. Not you, not anyone. Her chest tightened at his words. She had never heard kindness spoken with such weight. But before the moment could grow warm, the cave itself shifted. A rumble echoed deep inside, and pebbles rolled across the ground. Leora flinched. What was that? She asked, fear in her voice. Daniel stood, lifting the torch higher. The walls stretched back into darkness, deeper than either of them had realized. This isn't just a cave, he muttered. They moved cautiously, their footsteps crunching against gravel. Strange carvings appeared on the walls, symbols etched into stone, glowing faintly under the torchlight. Leora touched one, her alien skin tingling. These are old, she whispered, older than my village, older than my people. The tunnel widened into a chamber. In its center stood a broken statue of a figure, neither fully human nor alien, something in between. Its hands reached upward, as if begging for the sky. Around it lay shattered pottery, rusted weapons, and bones long turned to dust. Leora's eyes widened. This is forbidden. My people speak of places like this, ruins of the old ones. We were told never to enter. Daniel's gaze swept the chamber, calm but alert. Places like this usually hold truths someone doesn't want you to find. Before she could reply, a faint hum filled the air. A pool of water at the chamber's edge glowed faintly blue. Tora's breath caught. It's alive, she whispered. The water shimmered, showing flickers of light that twisted into shapes. For a moment, Leora saw faces, alien faces like hers, human faces, two shouting, reaching, fighting. Then the images vanished, leaving ripples across the pool. Her body trembled. What? What is this place? Daniel's jaw tightened. A secret buried, and secrets are dangerous. Suddenly, voices echoed again from the cave's entrance. The villagers had returned, their torches glowing faintly in the distance. Daniel cursed under his breath. They're tracking us too fast. Leora clutched his arm. They'll trap us inside. But Daniel's eyes burned with a fierce light. Then we don't run this time. We make a stand. He raised his rifle, the firelight casting sharp shadows across his face. Leora stared at him, torn between fear and wonder. No one had ever fought for her. No one had ever faced death at her side. Yet here, in the ruins of the Forgotten, a single human was ready to fight an entire world for her. And in that moment, Leora realized he was not just saving her life. He was changing it. The cave walls trembled with echoes of angry voices. The mob was closing in, their torches glowing brighter at the entrance. Daniel's grip on his rifle tightened. His eyes flicked across the chamber, searching for cover exits. Anything. The broken statue, the glowing pool, the cracked walls, everything felt like both a danger and a shield. Leora clutched his sleeve. We cannot fight all of them. They are too many. Daniel's jaw hardened. Then we make them afraid. Fear breaks crowds faster than bullets. The villagers spilled into the chamber like a river of fire. Their torches lit the carvings, their shadows dancing across the walls. They froze for a moment, stunned by the sight of the ancient ruins. Then their faces twisted with rage when they spotted Leora. There she is. And the human. Spears rose, blades gleamed, and the mob surged forward. Bang. Daniel fired into the ceiling. The blast roared like thunder, rock dust falling on their heads. The mob staggered back, their torches wavering. Daniel's voice cut through the chaos, cold and sharp. Step closer, and you'll never step again. Villagers hesitated. For a moment, fear rippled through them. But then one brave man raised his spear. He's only one human. Kill him, and the cursed girl with him. The crowd roared in agreement and charged. Daniel moved like a storm. He dropped two men with sharp shots, then kicked a torch into another's face. His knife flashed, catching an attacker across the arm. Leora pressed against the statue, her heart racing. But the mob was too many. They pushed forward, circling around, their fury stronger than their fear. Daniel fought like a beast, but even beasts tire. Then the chamber itself seemed to answer. The pool of glowing water pulsed, brighter and brighter, until beams of blue light shot across the walls. The carvings came alive, glowing symbols spreading, like veins through stone. The villagers froze, terror flooding their faces. It's cursed, one shouted, the old ones wake. Another screamed. Leora stared at the light, her eyes wide. She could feel it not with her skin, but in her soul. The pool was calling to her. Daniel, she whispered, it wants me. Daniel, panting and bloodied, glanced at her. Don't touch it. But the pool glowed brighter, the water, forming shapes again, faces of humans and aliens, standing together, fighting side by side. Leora stepped closer, trembling. It's not death, it's truth. The villagers shrank back, their courage broken by the light. Some dropped their weapons and fled toward the entrance. Others fell to their knees, covering their eyes. Only a few remained, too stubborn or too angry to run. They charged again. Daniel fired, each shot echoing through the chamber. He moved in front of Leora, shielding her with his body. Stay back. He roared, but one villager slipped past, swinging a blade toward her. Leora screamed, lifting her hands to shield herself, and the pool answered. A burst of blue light shot out, slamming into the attacker and throwing him across the chamber. His torch died as he hit the wall, unconscious. The light faded, leaving silence. Every eye turned to Lars. She stood frozen, her hands still glowing faintly. Her chest rose and fell fast, her mind struggling to understand. Daniel lowered his rifle. Slowly, his eyes locked on her, not with fear, but with awe. "It's you," he whispered. "You're connected to this place." The last of the villagers stumbled back in terror. "She is cursed. She commands the dead." They dropped their torches and fled, their screams echoing down the tunnel until only silence remained. Leora sank to her knees, trembling. I didn't know." Daniel crouched beside her, steadying her shoulder. "Whatever it is, they won't come back. Not after what they saw." She looked at him, fear and wonder mixing in her eyes. "Do you fear me too?" Daniel met her gaze without flinching. "No, I've seen monsters. You're not one of them." Her breath caught. No one had ever spoken those words to her. The chamber grew quiet again, the blue glow of the pool reflecting in both their eyes. And for the first time, Leora felt not cursed, but chosen. The ruins lay silent after the chaos. The broken statue loomed over them, and the glowing pool shimmered like a living star. The echoes of fleeing villagers had long faded, but the air still carried the weight of what had happened. Leora knelt at the pool's edge, her reflection glowing faintly in the water. She touched her trembling hands. They no longer shone, but the memory of the light haunted her. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why me? Why did it answer me?" Daniel stood behind her, leaning on his rifle. His face was tired, streaked with blood and dust, but his eyes were steady. "Maybe because you asked for help, and no one listened." Her throat tightened. "Except you." He gave a faint nod. "Maybe this place responds to hope. Or maybe it responds to those who've been thrown away." The silence stretched. Leora gazed at him, her heart caught between fear and gratitude. "They will never stop hunting me now. After what they saw, I'll always be a curse to them." Daniel stepped closer, his shadow falling across the pool. "Then stop living for them." She blinked. "What do you mean? Live for yourself," he said simply. "Or live for those who believe in you. Even if it's just one human." Areth caught. His words were heavy. Yet they filled her chest with warmth she had never known. But before she could answer, the ground rumbled again. Cracks split the chamber floor. The pool surged with light, brighter than before. The carvings on the walls flared, glowing symbols racing toward the ceiling. Daniel lifted his weapon, tense. What now? The water rose, forming shapes once more. This time, it was clearer humans and aliens, side by side, holding weapons together. Standing against shadows larger than any army, Leora gasped. "It's a vision, a warning." Daniel's eyes narrowed. Or a promise. The pool pulsed one last time before settling, the glow fading into a calm blue shimmer. Silence followed, as if the ruins themselves were waiting for an answer. Daniel lowered his weapon. "Whatever this place is, it's telling us one thing. Alone, we fall. Together, we fight." Leora stared at him. "Do you really believe that? Even after what my people did to me?" He met her eyes without hesitation. "I don't judge you by them. Just like you don't judge me by the soldiers who left me behind." Her lips parted, but no words came. For the first time, someone had seen her not as cursed, not as abandoned, but as herself. From the tunnel came distant voices. Not many this time, just a few villagers returning, braver than the rest. Their torches flickered weakly, their steps. Cautious Daniel tightened his grip on the rifle. "If they come, I'll fight them again." But Leora stood tall now. Her voice was no longer trembling. "No, not this time." She stepped forward, raising her hand toward the glowing pool. The water responded with a faint light, casting her in a soft blue aura. The villagers froze at the sight, their courage breaking again. "She truly is cursed," one whispered. But Leora's voice rang clear. "No, I am not cursed. I am chosen. And this human," she glanced at Daniel, her eyes shining, "proved it. You feared me, but he believed. That is why I live." The villagers stared, torn between fear and awe. One by one, they dropped their torches and fled once more into the night, leaving only silence behind. Daniel let out a breath, lowering his weapon. "You didn't need me this time." Leora turned to him, her face soft but fierce. "I still do. Because you are the only one who answered when I cried." He gave a small smile, rare and rough. "Then let's keep moving. This cave isn't the end, it's the beginning." Together, they left the ruins, stepping into the cool night air. The forest stretched before them, endless and uncertain. But for the first time, Leora did not fear the path ahead. Beside her walked a human who had changed everything, and in her heart, she knew the girl thrown into the well to die was gone. What walked out now was someone reborn, not cursed, but chosen,